What's going on? It's your boy Adam. It is Easter Sunday. It's Chaos to Come Back. That's the name of the series you're watching right now. Still chaos. That's pretty much it. But today's I don't know if this is the actual anniversary date of the event, but we're celebrating the greatest comeback from chaos in human history, and that is the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead to come back once again, walk among the living, and show us that he has defeated death and he has defeated Satan, and they don't have any more power over us as long as we're willing to believe that. And I believe it. But, just like Jesus did get mad. He saw some injustice, and he got mad about it at times. Jesus cried. What's the shortest verse in the entire Bible? Jesus wept when his friend Lazarus had died. His friend Lazarus had just died. He knew he was going to go raise his friend from the dead, and yet he was still sad to find out that his friend had just died. Like, why would you even cry if you knew you were just going to go walk over, touch your friend, and raise him from the dead? And Jesus got scared and nervous and full of anxiety. It says when Jesus was in the garden praying before they came to take him away for his crucifixion, he was begging God to take the cup away from him. But your will be done. But it says in the Bible he was sweating blood. When's the last time you got so nervous that you had blood coming out your pores? That's anxiety at a whole nother level. In all of my anxiety and frustrations and worries, I've never wiped my forehead and said, "Whoa, there's blood on my forehead. Where did that come from?" Jesus, it says he was sweating blood. So that's anxiety on a whole nother level. And if you knew now granted, if I knew I was about to get dragged across town, have all the skin whipped off my back with whips that have little metal hooks on the end, a crown of thorns placed on my head, having to drag a heavy chunk of wood across town so that a bunch of soldiers could drive nails into my wrists and ankles to hang me up on it and wait for me to die, then yeah, I might have enough anxiety to start sweating blood in that situation. So it would be a little bit worse than the anxiety I felt going into the courtroom to get sentenced for my mean tweets. Anyway, so we're celebrating that today. And right now I am looking at my computer screen. I have videos being exported. I have videos being uploaded. I have videos scheduled in YouTube. I just released a video earlier today. I am uploading them and scheduling them in the order that I record them, but there's been some days where I've recorded 2 videos worth in one day, and I'm just kind of breaking them down into like between an hour and an hour and a half, no more than 2 hours, hopefully, and I'm just going to schedule them to release one day after the next. My goal is to have 7 in the queue, so then I can just take a day or two, because there's days coming up soon where I'm not going to be recording any videos. And so if I do get to the point where I have 7 queued up and then I've got 3 more ready to go, I'll probably just go boom, boom, boom and make a few of them go live right away. Take them off the scheduler and just make them go live, and then shift all the other ones back a couple days to go. But there's two strategies at play here. Number one, I need to be able to just sit in front of the microphone when I'm feeling it and just talk about what's going on. The video, this is just a documentation of what's going on right now. Really don't have much to show. I don't have the energy to do anything more complicated than that. There's things going on. Maybe that'll change soon. I also need, I'm accumulating all these videos, and what was I doing before? I was putting up a 3 hour long video. And then, you go a few days without seeing a video. I could have just broke those up into 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, and put them up on subsequent, one this day, one this day, one this day. So I'm just getting into a different rhythm with all of this. I would have liked to just be able to sit here on my phone and hit an upload button and be done with it. The new rhythm requires me to, use my computer, use editing software, wait for things to upload, etc. But it's not a lot of like actual work. It's a lot of waiting for a bar to go across the screen, waiting for a video to finish uploading, doing a handful of things, trying to make sure I put descriptions, titles, thumbnail images, keywords, or what they call them, tags on YouTube. Trying to do things just to get the videos to be more discoverable. I might backfill some of the older videos with different things. Speaking of descriptions, I got a thing from Amazon. I expected it. I knew it was coming. I didn't take it seriously when I signed up for the Amazon affiliate program. You have 180 days from when you sign up to convert 3 sales into commissions. And if you fail to do that, they'll kick you off the program. Well, I got kicked off. In 90 days, I had 1 sale. I made 50 cents, though. I don't know who clicked on a link and bought something, but somebody clicked on an Amazon affiliate link and bought something, and I got a commission of 50 cents. That's gone. You have to have $100 in your account before they'll pay you out. That's one of the... it's like a scam, and it's not a scam at the same time, but a lot of these companies, like Google AdSense, Amazon affiliates, stock photography websites, etc., they all have a threshold that you have to reach before you can get paid. And I can understand it from the sense that these companies don't want to have to handle doing millions of microtransactions on a daily basis of transferring 50 cents into someone's bank account times a million people. So they set these thresholds, but a lot of these companies, they set these thresholds and then people never reach the threshold, and the company basically made all of the money they're making millions of dollars off of these thresholds being as high as they are. So instead of $25 being $100, if you're a small creator, that could be like 6 months. And maybe the creator gives up and earned $80 in commissions but never made enough to get cashed out. Amazon basically made $80 and they keep the money because they never had to pay you. Same thing with Google AdSense. You could be a creator who gets, maybe it takes 6 months and you get $75 in your AdSense account, but they don't have to pay you because you haven't reached $100 yet. And then you give up on your YouTube channel. Google just dished out $75 worth of ads for free. You know what I'm saying? Like, stock photo agencies have thresholds that are about the same. You're making like 25 cents when someone downloads one of your photographs, and the only way you make money off of that is to have thousands of photographs in your library so that you're making, in some cases you could be making $100 a day. But a small creator, it could take 2 years to get that $100. Or maybe they get to a certain point, they give up on it, and the stock photo agency basically just sold your photo for free. Or they took all the money selling your photography and you never got a dime. And I think if you were to add up all of the unclaimed or unrealized thresholds on accounts like that, it would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars when you combine them all together. But I lost 50 cents. No, I'm not going to cry about it. I know what I should do and could do in order to increase that. And Amazon said you can set up a new account anytime you want. You just can't use the URL of your existing affiliate account ever again. It's completely locked. So I would have to go through the process of creating a new one and start over, which resets the clock to 180 days. So I'm just going to wait, because I'm not going to do it until I have a plan to actually get those 3 qualifying sales. In 180 days, there's really no excuse that I couldn't have. I need to get into the habit of making plugs and doing like a more formal intro for these YouTube videos where I'm like, click the links below, give me the thumbs up. If you haven't given the thumbs up, give the thumbs up. I got to do that now. I hate it. But I don't hate, I don't hate telling people about the things I have to offer, but I don't know. I guess it's just part of doing YouTube, because I watch a number of live streams, and this one guy, Prepper Nurse One, he's the perfect example. Every live stream that he does, he'll have like 500 people in the room. There'll be like not even 100 likes, not even 100 thumbs up yet, and he'll say, "All right, I'm gonna keep doing this over and over again until I see the thumbs up." And he'll say, we got 500 people in here. I want to see 200 thumbs up. If I can get 200 thumbs up, I'll stop blabbing my mouth about it and wasting all of our time, and we'll just stick to the topic at hand. And every time he says it, you'll see the counter go brrrr, and it'll get like 60 or 70 new thumbs up in about 10 seconds. And it's funny because it's none of these 500 people there are trolls. Every now and then a troll shows up in the comments and they get booted off the channel, off the stream. There's always going to be trolls. There's always going to be some douchebag who has nothing better to do than get on some random YouTube channel and be an asshole to everybody. It's just the way it is. It happens every time I post a video. So, people got too much time on their hands. But in the case of this guy particularly, it's a real live example of, I hate how every time I watch a YouTube channel they're like, hit the thumbs up and subscribe and ring the bell and all that crap, and they say it over and over again. But I see it with my own eyes when I watch these streams. It works. And for me, it's like, I get it, because I go and watch plenty. Half the time, I forget to hit the thumbs up. Sometimes I don't want to give the thumbs up unless I really mean it. Like, I'm not just willy-nilly giving out a thumbs up unless it's actual something good. Like, I keep those thumbs in my pocket until it's time to hand them out. Like, I don't just hand out thumbs up to anybody. It's got to be something worthy of a thumbs up. Because I don't want the algorithm to start feeding me trash that I don't like. So if you start thumbs up in a bunch of garbage, then you're going to get a bunch of garbage in your feed. So, but I forget. I watched a bunch of videos today, and I probably forgot to thumbs up most of them. I know there were a few I remember hitting thumbs up on. Something made me laugh really hard. I was like, oh, you're getting a thumbs up for that. But there was a Dave Chappelle skit that was hilarious, and whoever posted it got a thumbs up for it. I can remember a couple other ones. But I don't always remember to do it, even if I like the video. And so that's normal. That's not me complaining. I understand, because it happens to me too. I don't always remember to do that. And so when people say, give us the thumbs up, I'm like, oh yeah, here you go, homie. Here's the thumbs up for you. Thanks for putting out that video, putting all that hard work into it. You deserve a thumbs up, my friend. And I totally almost forgot until you reminded me. So I just have to get past this whole I can't stand doing it and come up with I need to print it out and have it in my hand, like an actual plug routine, because I have so many different things I want to show people. And I have it because I was doing it when I was homeless. I would actually go through and read off the plugs sometimes, and it wasn't every single video, but I was doing it, and so I just need to do it again. I don't like using the app on this phone that allows me to go and read other things while I'm using the video recorder because it's buggy and it's kind of shitty. And I can't see what's going on with the camera. The video could stop recording and I wouldn't know. And so, and if I navigate away from the camera app that I'm using right now, the thing will stop recording right off the bat. It will not allow me to switch back and forth between apps. There's a separate app called Background Video Recorder for Android that'll allow you to go to another app. And I also want to sit here and chill. So I'm like wondering, do I just pull up another phone, an older phone, and have my notes on one phone over here, and I talk to you over here, and then I look over here and here, and I'm holding two phones in my... I don't know. I don't know what I want to do just yet. So I'm just trying to figure this out one day at a time, and, living in a slumlord ridden shithole is, with all this drama, is making things a lot more difficult than they should be right now. I should be just focused and getting things done. And I've even reduced my bakery hours to 2 days a week so I can do my work. And it just seems like every time I take the step to try and make my life more productive and better and get into that groove, the more I get attacked. And it's spiritual warfare. It's literally, I must be on the right path because Satan is trying to do everything he can do to knock me off my game. And he's been doing it since August 12th of 2022 when the FBI came over, Satan's minions came to my house. Literally, the demons came with a tank, drove it into my fucking house, and dragged me off to federal prison over mean tweets. They may as well have had horns sticking out of their heads with red skin and bat wings flying around my house, because that's what they are. Just a bunch of fucking demons. The FBI and the KGB and the Stasi and the SS, they're all the same thing. They just got a different logo. Each country calls it something else. That's all they are. Let's see. Did I even have something to talk about today? I don't even know. It's Easter Sunday. Like I said, I've got a lot of... I hate the holidays right now. I hate holidays right now. When everybody in the world, when everybody who used to be your friend or, or closer than that hates your guts. These aren't the days that you want to be... These days aren't good for you. Birthdays, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, all of these holidays don't mean shit to me anymore. Because I got nobody to spend them with. It's just a day where everything's closed. And that's a good idea. I don't even know if the grocery store is open today, being Easter Sunday and all. Target probably is, because they're a bunch of liberals. They hate Jesus. They let child molesting men go into the girls' bathroom. So, of course they're probably open. But I was thinking I wanted to go grocery shopping today. And I think I'm going to put it off. I think I'm not doing grocery shopping on Sundays anymore. I got 5 to 10 reasons for that. Grocery shopping on Sunday, because I do the bakery blitz on Saturday and Monday. I get Sunday in between. Why would I want to go drag a backpack to Target, fill it with 50 pounds worth of groceries, and lug it back to the house? On my day between the bike rides, I need to just rest and get ready for tomorrow's bike ride and just be ready to go tomorrow. I've got plenty of food. I just ate. I'm not hungry. I got nothing I truly need. I'll make my grocery list. Tuesday's a good day for that because I'm going to be burned out and exhausted from all the bakery stuff. And I'll still need to do some productive things on Tuesday, but I can fit in the grocery run. And I think it's just a better day to do it. Groceries, laundry, certain things like that. Let Sunday be a day of rest. I do want to get some of my client work done. I want to get at least 3 hours and I have something focused I want to work on. And I got plenty of time still. It is getting pretty late in the day, but I'm just doing some of this video exporting and queuing up some videos for you guys to watch. And then I'm going to shift over and do a little bit of work for a client. Get a little bit ahead of the game. So that on Tuesday, for this one client, I'm going to be sending out weekly invoices, and it's going to help me financially get out of this rut. I'm targeting a certain number of hours a week, and then after a couple more weeks of doing that, I might be able to go down to 1 day a week at the bakery. After I get enough, if I can put enough away. And okay, now I know what I want to talk about, but I can't talk about it. But I'm going to put it this way. Today being Easter Sunday, and coincidentally, I went and checked on I was doing some research for a special project, we'll call it that, and something very, very interesting happened. I went on a 78-mile bike ride 2 Fridays ago, so that was a week and a few days ago, and it was for a specific reason, and it turned out to, I was I had some misgivings about the situation, and I decided not to pursue this opportunity, and then I found out that the opportunity was no more. And so I was like, all right, no harm, no foul. Well, I found out today that the opportunity is back on the table in more favorable terms. And I'm like significantly more favorable terms. But there are still some issues with it that I can't get past. And I don't think, being Easter Sunday, I don't think it's the day that I want to call and negotiate something. An opportunity with somebody. But Tuesday will be, because Monday I'm going to be at the bakery all day. That's not going to work either. And yeah, Monday at the bakery isn't going to work. Tuesday would be the first time I could even do it. But it's like, ooh, if it weren't for this one, there's actually 3 reasons why it won't work. But one is very, very, deal breaker. And if I could resolve that one issue to my satisfaction, to where I know that it's solid, that we've got that base covered and checked off, then that changes everything. I would totally sign up for this right away. Boom. But aside from that, I can't do it. And I'm not going to say any more details about it, but there's literally one thing holding that. There's one reason why I was like, that would be great and everything, but it's a good opportunity, but at the end, it's just not going to work for me. And I said something about it, and then it just kind of fizzled out. And like I said, it was off the table. And I was like, all right, fine. And then now it's back on the table. And it's like, someone made me an offer I can't refuse, but I might have to anyway. I'd have to make a call, and I have to get something guaranteed, or it won't work. It just won't work. It's too risky. And But that's what I do. I negotiate. You know, I just wonder if it came back at me on Easter Sunday because I'm supposed to take another look at this. Because if it wasn't for this one issue, this one important issue, this would be a done deal already and I'd be telling you about it. But it's very important. Like, I can't do it if this doesn't happen. And so I'm gonna make a counter. I'm gonna basically talk. I'm gonna negotiate that. Hey, if you can get it in writing that this will happen on this date, it's over. We're done. We're doing it. That's what I'm gonna do on Tuesday. Otherwise, I'm just gonna move on. That's all I'm gonna say. I know that's vague. I know if you use your imagination, you know what I'm talking about. But it'll all be. I'll give it. I'll give you the whole story at some point. But this would be really fucking cool. I just had a feeling that this would change a lot of things, but I just can't say yes to it without certain assurances. And it's not that cut and dry, but probably Tuesday, Wednesday, I could make this. Next week's going to be an interesting week. I just feel like, why did that come at me on Easter Sunday? Not directly, but it's back on the table. One phone call, but it boils down to one issue. There's actually 3 separate issues that I need to resolve. It's not just one. But there's one that if it can't be resolved, I can't do it. It's just plain and simple. I cannot do it. The other 2 issues can be mitigated and they can be dealt with over time on my own. But if the first issue can't be resolved, then none of the issues can be resolved because I won't be able to do it. It's that firm. And unfortunately, it would be a game changer. I'll tell you that. Whoo, fuck, it would be awesome. It would be an incredible experience if I could figure out how to do it. I feel like there's, I don't know, if God wants that to be, he'll make it be. He'll make it so that sometimes, I've been asking a lot this week, God, just make whatever you want me to do. Like, I can't see anything right now. And if you're trying to tell me, you got to scream at me. Just put a giant billboard in front of me as I'm riding my bike and make it so obvious. Make the billboard so big that I would be an idiot if I can't see it and read it. Like, you got to put it right in front of me. Make it so perfectly clear that I would be an idiot to not see it and to not do it. And part of me feels like that was a little bit. I'm not gonna go so far as to call what happened today a sign that this is what he wants me to do, but it was definitely a signal to give it a second thought. But I really don't know if it can be done, because this is not a small ask for what I need in order to be able to say yes. So, but it would be a win-win for everybody involved if they go along with my suggestion. And if it's even possible, it would be a win for all parties, big win for all the parties involved. It would, there's no downside to any of it. But it's, like I said, it's not, it's a little bit nervous. It makes me nervous. I'll just put it that way, because it's too, there is an element of risk with this that's not minor. And so I'm just going to move on, talk about something else. I don't know what else to talk about. What else is going on? I mean, my mood is a little better. I was exhausted when I came home from the biking and the bakery yesterday. Tomorrow's going to be worse. I don't know what to expect. A lot of people left, and there's a lot of new people. And so there's a lot of, it's not chaos is not the word. I went in yesterday expecting things to go a certain way, and it was absolutely not anything that I expected, and it wasn't. That isn't even a bad thing. Like, they wanted to give me more responsibility and give me, like, better things to do when I got there. But here's something I don't like about the job. I always talk about good, fast, and cheap, but you only get to pick two. And if you're going to ask me to do a job, you're getting good. So whether you want it good and fast or good and cheap, I don't give a fuck which one you pick. But I'm not taking good out of it. In fact, someone left a comment on a previous video where I was talking about good, fast, and cheap, about how either the person leaving the comment, or somebody that person knows, was working at a company where they did work with quality. And then new owner and new manager came in and was basically like, no, you can't do that anymore. We just want fast, fast, fast. And in order to do the job as fast as they wanted it done, he had to skimp on the quality of the work, and the quality went down the toilet. And he finally quit the job because he was like, fuck this shit, I'm not doing that. That's me. I will walk if somebody tells me to do things fast and don't give a shit about quality. I won't do it that way. So when you want good and fast, you got to get more people. If you want good and cheap, you got to give it more time. If you want fast and cheap, hire somebody else, because I don't do that. I will never do that. Never, in fact, that is a firm stance. I won't. The only time I'll do fast and cheap, there's times where get it done is called for because there's a hard deadline. Let's say you're an ad agency and you're doing a Super Bowl commercial for a client. There's a deadline for the Super Bowl commercial. If it's Super Bowl Sunday and the commercial's not ready to air, and you're not going to get it done until Monday morning, you fucked up. You're going to have a pissed off client who just paid for a Super Bowl ad and didn't get to run an ad. You're going to be going to court. So, perfect is the enemy of done. That's if it's the day before Super Bowl Sunday, you just got to get that fucker done no matter what. Even if you got to cut corners, you got to do whatever the fuck you have to do to get that thing out the door. Doesn't matter whose fault it is, doesn't matter, nothing matters at that point. You just got to get it done. You might take a lot of flack for it not being perfect or not being good, but it's better than not being done. So there is a place for fast and cheap. And even if cheap isn't in the mix, fast. Sometimes you just got to get something done and get it done. There's times where I'm working on these client projects where I'm like, okay, just get it done, with the caveat that I'm going to come back and fix it and make it better later. But I do good and cheap or good and fast. Yeah, good and fast or good and cheap. If it's going to be good and fast, get more people on it. If it's going to be good and cheap, give me more time. So at the bakery, now these are supposed to be like some gourmet cookies. These are like high-end, expensive things, luxury items. That's why we're having issues sometimes with the crowd sizes, because Joe Biden made it so we can't afford nice things anymore. But all they care about is speed. Speed at a micromanagement level, to the point where somebody, every now and then, somebody will get in my, not get in my face, but somebody will be watching me and they'll say, you can't do it that way because you can save 3 seconds per cookie by doing it this other way. And I'm like, yeah, but then they're going to suck. Well, we need it to be done fast. And I'm like, you know what? If you want people taking a bunch of pictures of fucked up cookies that weren't done to perfection, putting it all over Facebook and TikTok and Instagram saying, look at these ugly fucking cookies, then fine. Rush it out the fucking door. I don't care. But if you want something that is worthy of the brand and worthy of what people are paying for, stop fucking micromanaging me about the way I melted the butter. Like, give me a level of trust that I'm 49 years old. I know how to melt the fucking butter. Like, I got one day, here's the thing. Somebody got on my shit about melting butter and started telling me I'm doing it all wrong. I'm like, back the fuck off. And then after I did what I did, we were using this butter at the perfect temperature for what we were doing. I had to paint a bunch of tins with a coating of butter. And in order to do that, I softened the butter to 85 degrees. Not 89 degrees, not 81 degrees. 85 degrees. Because the butter is basically like wet paint at that point. It's not turned, it doesn't turn to liquid yet, but it's not hard either. You can dip a basting brush in it and it's like paint. And then you can paint the butter onto whatever you want. And so other people got in the mix to paint, because we had to paint hundreds of these tins. And people were dipping their basting brush into the butter. They're like, Adam, this is like the most perfect butter I have ever. And I said, yeah, because I'm the Bob Ross of butter painting. Now leave me the fuck alone and get your happy little tins out and paint. like the person who was micromanaging me about melting butter that morning had to shut her mouth, because the butter was at the absolute perfect state for what we had to do. And I knew what I had to do to make that. But everybody's looking at me like, you're taking too much time, you're doing it wrong, you have to do it this way, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if I did it the way that you wanted me to do it, it would take us 4 times longer to paint these fucking butter tins. The butter wouldn't coat the tin all the way, and the cakes would stick when you take them out of the tin. Just shut the fuck up and let me do my thing. And I didn't swear, I didn't cop an attitude. I'm retelling the story. It's telling you how I felt inside. This is how I felt inside. I'm a little bit more tactful about it, expressing it out loud. But this happens all the time, where they'll tell me, I don't like the way that you're doing that. But if you didn't watch me do it, and all you saw was the final result, you'd be like, Adam, those look so beautiful. Those are so perfect. Oh my God, how did you get it to be so perfect? And my answer is, well, because you didn't fucking watch me and you didn't climb up over my shoulder and try to micromanage me while I do it. That's how it looks so good. That's how it came out so perfect. But if you're going to try and micromanage every move that I make and every time I touch a piece of cookie dough, and every time, if you're going to micromanage the whole process, then, don't expect anything from me. But if you just want to give me a task, let me do my job, you're going to be impressed with the final result, because I don't fuck around. Even if it's baking cookies. Just leave me the fuck alone and let me do what I do. Like, the same skills somebody asked me, like, somebody asked me one day, because we have to do things with piping bags and stuff like that, and I just have a steady hand for it. Like, the first time I had to do this thing with a piping bag, I did it perfect out the box. Do I always do it perfect? No, and that's usually because the frosting's at the wrong temperature. If the frosting is too cold, it comes out of the piping bag in chunks, and you can't get a proper grip on the bag, and you can't get a perfect stream to come out of the bag. Sometimes there's air bubbles in the frosting, and it's just in the middle of your piping thing. And I can patch it up a little bit, but in order to do it right, there can't be any air in the frosting. All the air bubbles have to be worked out of the bag. The frosting has to be room temperature. If it's hotter than room temperature, it's too gooey, it's too runny. If it's too cold, like 10, 15 degrees below room temperature, because it's been stored in the fridge and wasn't melted or wasn't brought up to temp. But then what I do is, when I open up a new bag of frosting, or when I put a new piping bag in, I grab another one out of the fridge and I set it on the counter where I'm working. Because by the time the frosting bag that I'm using is empty, the next one's probably going to be room temperature. I don't like putting it in the microwave, because the microwave doesn't heat evenly. I get all kinds of shit about that. Just put it in the fucking microwave, blah, 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 and all that. I'm like, you know what? Why don't you just let me do this? Because nobody ever complains about the result when I do it. They only complain when they see me doing it and they think I'm doing it too slow or whatever. And I'm like, stop micromanaging me while I'm melting some butter. Just go away. I'll melt the fucking butter my way, and you're going to be impressed with the results when it's done. Just stop. Stop looking at every motion of my hand and telling me it's wrong. Look at my result. Don't look at what I'm doing. Like, I don't micromanage people. I don't. I will never do that. If I was the manager, I would not sit there and micromanage everybody's movements and motions. What I would do is say, that's not safe what you're doing. You can't have, you got to change your gloves. Things like that. But I'm not going to sit there and just micromanage people. I might, if somebody's really slow, I might say, hey, here's a trick that I do. Here's something other people do. 6 different people are going to have 6 different ways to do it. I'm looking at the end result. I'm faster at some things than others. But we can talk about washing dishes, because these are like basic things where good, fast, and cheap apply. It doesn't have to be complicated things like building software. It can be washing dishes. Okay? So when people tell me, go back and wash all those dishes, if it takes me a couple hours because we're really backed up and there's piles and piles and piles of shit, if nobody comes back to micromanage me, they get done in the same amount of time or even faster, and they're really, really clean. Really clean. Because we deal with everything in a bakery has to do with butter and powders. So it's like, you're going to have slime on everything. You know how butter is. You get butter all over something, and you have to have hot water. You have to take it off with soap. If you don't use soap and hot water, and you don't scrub it right, you're going to leave a greasy film on everything, and it's not going to be clean. It's going to have a layer of fucking butter on it. You need soap to cut the grease. It has to be the right kind of soap. You have to have something to cut the grease, and you got to have a hot enough temperature water to melt off the butter. It's that simple. But so we have 2 issues. We have a drying rack that's not big enough to dry everything. And we also have an issue with the water out of the rinse nozzle doesn't get hot enough, but the other 2 sinks get so hot that I can't even put my hand in the water. So, it's a 3-stage sink. Wash, rinse, sanitize. And so I have a certain way of doing it. Number one, when other people do it, somebody went back there one day and did all the dishes, and then she came out and bragged to me about how fast she did all the dishes. She goes, Adam, I just did all the dishes in half an hour. Why can't you do them fast like me? And I was like, I don't know, let's go back and look. And I went back like a little bit later, and I went to put all the dishes away that were on the drying rack, and I had to throw more than half of them back in the sink because they literally had chunks of food stuck to them. They had chunks of food stuck to them. All the handles of all the measuring scoops were greasy, like covered in butter still, covered in oil. Bowls had stains on them because that all the grease and butter wasn't washed off. So I'm just like I'm picking up everything. There's a chunk of food, throw it in the sink. Oh, there's a chunk of food. Oh, this bowl scraper is all greasy and covered in slime, throw it in the sink. So yeah, you did them fast, but 3/4 of the fucking dishes had to be washed again because you did a shitty job. And I'm not like, there's no hate here. I'm just saying, do the job right, even if it takes a little longer. Stop being worried about speed, because here's the thing, you do it fast. There's so many examples there where they do things fast and then the quality is crap. Do things right, takes a little longer, you only have to do it once. You know, it's the same thing I'm going through in my apartment. This motherfucker could have fixed the hot water in 3 or 4 days. He could have had this fixed by February 5th for not a lot of money. $200-300 probably at the most. Now we're at April 20th, Easter Sunday. I still don't have hot water, and he's made such a fucking mess of it trying to be a fucking cheapskate that I'm in even worse shape than I was on February 1st, and it just keeps going downhill and downhill because he's so obsessed with being a piece of shit cheapskate trying to get it done fast and cheap that it's not cheap and it's not fast anymore, and it's not even fucking done, and it's worse than it was. So stop being obsessed with speed and cheap and fast and cheap, because you're not gonna, if you're obsessed with fast and cheap, it's gonna be expensive and it's gonna take a long fucking time, and the quality's still not gonna be good. That's the funny part about fast and cheap. That's why I don't do fast and cheap, and I never will. And if you want to fire me for it, go right the fuck ahead, because I don't. That's the point where I don't give a fuck. I have been let go because I won't do fast and cheap. I have had to walk away from things for not doing fast and cheap. I won't do it. It's not in my vocabulary. That's firm, and that has served me well in life by walking away from situations where they want me to be fast and cheap, and I won't do fast and cheap, and so shit didn't work out, and I ended up better off as a result. I'm not putting fast and cheap in my portfolio because when it comes time for me to go get another job, I need good to be in my portfolio. So I'm only doing good, whether it's good and cheap or good and fast, we'll see. But so I go back and I do the dishes again that day, and they're all clean, like squeaky clean. Like you can pick up the slimy bowl scraping, the bowl scraper, and it's no longer slimy in your fingers. It's squeaky. Like you can squeak your finger across it, like it just came out of the dishwasher. And so my process of doing the dishes is number one, the first thing I do is sort them by size. Everything small goes right into the rinsing sink. The containers the next size up, then the next size up, then bigger bowls, then bigger things, and finally the big industrial size mixing bowls go last. Why? Because our drying racks are small. So I can literally wash all the small things, even if it fills up half a sink. I can do all of those at once. Put them all on the drying rack at once. And then when I move on to the next size in the dishwashing routine, those things have a proper chance to dry while I'm washing the next size up. And the containers at the next size might be measuring cups, large mini measuring pitchers, plastic food containers, things like that. And I can usually fit a bunch of those in a sink. And by the time I get all those washed, rinsed, and sanitized, I can start pulling the stuff that's already on the drying rack off. I'm still going to have to dry them by towel a little bit, but at least they've got to drip dry to an extent. then I can fit a whole bunch of these containers and the next size up on the drying rack. And by the time I get to the big stuff, like the big bowls, the bowls that are only big enough to put 2 at a time on the drying rack, I've already washed most of the dishes at that point, and there's only a handful of things that are big. And then you get to the items that are so big you can only wash 1 at a time because they take up the whole sink, like the industrial size mixing bowls. So I have a pattern for this, and it works. I actually get the dishes done faster, but they're still done. They're clean. I have a way of doing everything that makes sure everything's clean. All the grime and grease is off of everything. They're not just washed, but they're squeaky clean. You can hold a thing in your hand and you're not going to feel slimy. But if somebody comes back and watches me do it, they'll flip out. They'll have a fucking fit about, why are you taking the time to organize all the dishes by size? Even though it takes me about 1.5 minutes to do it, or less. I just go through everything and stack it according to its size. And then I do it a certain way. But it might, okay, fine, if it takes 2 minutes to do that first, but it saves me. But if they see me do that, if someone sees me do that, they'll cut me right off. They'll push me aside, not physically, but jump in the middle and tell me how I'm doing everything wrong and I just need to grab things and wash them. We don't have time for your OCD and all this other. I'm like, I have a reason for doing it this way. And it's better. And I guarantee you that my shit is going to come out cleaner than anything you do because I'm not obsessed with speed. I do things to make this go faster, but I balance it with coming out good. But when you're just obsessed with speed, you don't give a shit about how it looks in the end and how, like I said, somebody else washed the dishes and they did it so fast to like prove a point to me, trying to say, you take too long to do the dishes, look how fast I did it. And then I go back and I'm like, well, that's because 3/4 of the fucking clean dishes that you stacked up here have food stuck to them. They're all slimy and covered with butter oil. And, they're not clean. They're not clean. 3/4, I threw them back in the fucking sink and did them again. And I'm like, don't fucking micromanage people like that. If they're doing something wrong, point it out. But I can tell you that there have been a number of times that I don't micromanage people at this place. I'm not a manager, but I mean, if I see anybody there, if you see somebody do something wrong, point it out to them because, especially if it's something unsanitary that they just don't know about or forgot about, or, it's watch each other's back. It's all. We're not being mean to each other. Somebody might have to remind me, hey, you need to change your gloves. Oh, thanks, like that. But anyway, I get ideas from other people all the time. Like, I'll do something and I'll have my set way of doing it, and then I see somebody else do something and I'm like, that's better. And I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll do the better way. So I'm not opposed to changing how I do something. But when somebody wants to micromanage me and I know my way is better, but they just want to, because that's the way that they do it, I'm not going to cave in. Like my butter technique for painting the tins I was told by everybody who did it that it was the best way to do it. But when they saw me doing it, they were all like barking at me about how I don't know what I'm doing until they saw it getting done. And then they're like, oh shit, he does know what he's doing. And so that's just the kind of thing that, like, it's not just working at a bakery where this happens. This will happen if you're a programmer. Oh my God, I can think of a perfect example as a programmer. This company hired me, and so we had system-generated emails that had to be sent out. If the user changes their password, they get an automatically generated email. It says, hey, you've successfully changed. There's all these system-generated emails. When you sign up for an account, you get an email. When you change your password, you get an email. And there's like 20 other things that you might do that you get some sort of email confirmation for. Well, the emails that were being sent out were broken and shitty looking. And they asked me to take a look at it and fix it. And it turns out I was the only one in the company who understood how to write HTML code for an email specifically so that it would look good in an email. There's a certain way you basically, when you write HTML for an email that's a HTML based email, you have to write HTML like HTML was written 20 years ago, because that's how the email clients are behind the times on how they process HTML. And there's just certain aspects of HTML itself that you have to take into consideration. And anyway, I came up with a way to do these emails, and it worked, but they argued with me all day long. Number one, the logo and all the graphics in any image file, whether it's a logo, a background image, a photograph or an image in the body of the email, have to be hosted on a web server somewhere that the entire world can access. It has to have an actual URL that I could copy and paste into the video description here, into a chat, into a web browser title bar, address bar, and that image will show up at that URL. That's how emails work that have images embedded in them. The image needs to be somewhere on the internet. You can't just attach an email or an image to an email like that and have it work right. It doesn't work that way. So that I had to argue with them for days. We had to set up what's called a CDN, a content delivery network, to put that kind of content in and serve it out to the email customers. And this one guy, he got me. When I explained it to him, he goes, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Let me do that for you." And he worked with me to set that up. And then the way that the email templates were generated, they were arguing with me because I had this process of, basically I created a template for the top part of the email. Then there was a dynamic tag that inserted the text of the email from a database. Then there was another HTML template in a separate file that made up the next part of the email. And then there was some more dynamically generated stuff from a database. And then there is now a template for the footer of the email. And these people kept telling me up and down, you only need one file for the template. And I'm like, no, you don't. It doesn't work like this. And there's complicated reasons around this. It wasn't like I wanted to do it this way, but I realized without getting too deep into it that it had to be done this way. And so we got into this like week-long argument about, and I looked at them finally and I said, well, how come you've been working on it for the last 6 months and you've never been able to get it to work? Yet Adam comes along and he does it his way and the fucking thing works. Look at the emails that this thing is sending out in our test environment. In the development version of the site, it actually works. But you're sitting here beating me up, telling me I did everything wrong. Show me the one where you did it your way and it works, and I'll shut the fuck up. And they were like, they couldn't do anything because none of them could make it work. And so Adam comes along, he figures out how to make it work. I've never used this programming language before. I've never used this template. I've never used this system before. It was a Java-based thing. I'm not too keen on Java at the time, and it was a thing called FreeMarker templates, specifically for email template creation in Java environments. And, long story short, I figured all this stuff out on my own. And I'm like, the reason why yours isn't working are these 3 reasons. And so we went back and forth for like a week, and they kept telling me I was wrong. And I'm like, go check your email box. Look at the thing that the system just sent you. Does it look like it's supposed to look? Yes. Then how am I doing it wrong? I don't know, because it shouldn't be done that way. All right, where's the one that you made that works? Well, we don't have one. Why? Because we can't figure it out. There you go. Shut the fuck up and let me do my job. And we went back and forth like this for a week. Finally, the 2 most senior developers in the company, they knew I was right. And so I'm like, how do I explain it to people so you fucking back off and just let this thing go? And the way I described it to them was like, think about it like a hamburger, okay? Can you just cook a hamburger all at once? Like, can you assemble the hamburger before you cook the hamburger? put the whole thing together. I guess what? Put it in the fucking microwave, take a raw burger patty, put some, that's how Chuck Schumer cooks a hamburger, but we all saw Chuck Schumer cook a fucking hamburger. You put a piece of cheese on a raw slab of burger patty, put it on the grill for 10 seconds, take a selfie, put it on a fucking bun, and that's a good burger. But no, it doesn't. That's not how it actually works. You have to prepare all the individual pieces of the hamburger. So I'm like, that's the concept. That's the difference. You're trying to cook the hamburger after you assemble the hamburger, and it's not going to work. You're going to have raw beef with a piece of cheese that's cold and a bunch of other crap mixed together, and you're going to give someone salmonella poisoning. You have to cook the burger. Okay, that's the body of the email. That's the hamburger. That's the meat. You have to cook that first. Then you put the bun, the top bun, you put some lettuce, you put the pickles on, you put the fucking piece of cheese there, put the burger in the burger. Underneath the burger is the bottom part of the bun, which is the footer. And I described it like assembling a hamburger from the top down. You wouldn't build a hamburger that way. But once I explained that you can't fucking cook a hamburger after you assemble the hamburger, you have to cook the burger first and then assemble the parts of the hamburger. Like maybe you could put the burger and then you put the cheese on it when the burger's still hot. But then you take it off the grill, you put it on the bun, you put the stuff on, you put the lettuce on, you put some mayo on the bun, put the top bun on. Not exactly the same, but I was like, it's very much like you can't assemble the hamburger until you cook the burger patty first. And when I explained it like that, I'm like, you cook the burger patty, you get all the ingredients that you need, and then you assemble the burger. Top bun, slice of lettuce, pickles, mustard, ketchup, cheese, burger meat, bottom bun. Then you send the final burger to the customer. And I mean, that's a perfect analogy of how I constructed this thing to work. And it wasn't just one email template. There were like 30 different instances where the system would send a user an email generated by the system based on something they did. I lost my password. Here's the email with the link to reset your password. I have a new account. Here's the welcome email. I want to change my password. It needs a confirmation that you get a confirmation. Somebody logged into your account from a different IP address. There's like 30 to 40 different system-generated messages that needs to send an email to the customer. And they wanted the email to look a certain way. A graphic designer in the company designed them. I translated those designs into legitimate emails. But I designed the system so that the system can handle sending whatever email it is inside this template that I built. So the actual email that they get, that's the burger. That's the thing that's got to be cooked first. And then all the parts of the email template, you've got a header, you've got another piece, like the lettuce, you got ketchup, mustard, pickles, onions, you got the burger that gets inserted in there, and then you've got the bottom bun, which is the footer. And when they understood it the way I was explaining it, they finally backed the fuck off, and they never had a problem with it after it went live. But I'm telling you, I fight like this all the time with companies. Because even programmers don't understand graphic design and the visual structure of things. A lot of programmers will learn JavaScript inside and out. They'll learn C# inside and out. They'll learn Java inside and out. PHP inside and out. And 20 other different languages that are like the core functional language. But then HTML and CSS are the markup language, which determines what everything looks like to the end user. And they just shit all over that. And they're like, well, everybody knows HTML and CSS. That's not even a real programming language and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, then why the fuck can't you do it? Why the fuck does everything you build look ugly and shitty and have way too many nested tags? And why does it all fall apart? And why doesn't it work in this browser and that browser? And how come you can't even match the font size that the designer gave you in the design and make the type the same font and size and the output that you built from those designs. Like if everybody knows HTML and CSS, because that's just basic and that's not even a real programming language, and you're so much better than that with your computer science degree, why can't you fucking do it? And why are you arguing with me about how to do it when I've been doing it for the last 30 fucking years and you hired me to do that because none of you people here can do it? So it's the same concept of trying to micromanage a guy who's just trying to melt some butter. And but it's in the software world. And people just want to, like, you know what I mean? People don't want good anymore. They want fast and cheap, fast and cheap, fast and cheap. And if somebody takes the time to do something right and to do it good, they don't understand that in the long run, it is faster and cheaper to do it good. Because if you don't do it good, if you do a sloppy, shitty job, you're going to be redoing it again and again and again and again and again. And you're going to be in a situation where a tenant didn't have hot water on the day he moved into an apartment. So because I'm so much of a two-bit ass clown cheapskate slumlord that I can't fix the problem for a few $100, fast forward 3 months later, not only does the tenant not have hot water, he doesn't have water at all. And we're in a major dispute. And I've spent probably $5,000 and everything's worse than it was on day one. All because I was obsessed with getting everything done on as cheap as I possibly could. You end up spending 10 times more and taking 10 times longer than you would have if you'd just shut your fucking mouth, gone out and bought the fucking thing that you need and had it done in a day. Because you could have done it right and you could have done it good and you could have done it once, but now you've done it 6 fucking times and every time you fucking do it, it's worse than it was yesterday. It's worse than it was the last time you tried to fix it. So that's the lesson of good, fast, and cheap. If you don't want to put good in the equation, leave me the fuck out of it. I don't want anything to do with it. I will always be like that. They know at work. They know when I go into the bakery. They know that if somebody shows me a better way to do something and it truly is better, I'll be like, all right, I'll do it. I'm totally open to that. They see that. I can think of a few examples. I can't think of anything specifically, but yesterday, I'll give you one example from yesterday of where I was right. We are making cheesecakes this week, and we've got a bunch of tins, hundreds of them, and I've got to scoop out 1.4 grams of the graham cracker crust mixture, put it in the tin, and then I've got to press them down with a measuring cup so that they're nice and firm. And it's a crust. It's a crust that's about yay thick. And so the first thing I do is when I measure out I measure them all. I'll have 24 tins on a pan. I'll measure out the 1.4 ounces of pie crust for each tin. And then I take with my fingers and just spread them out. Spread out the crust mixture on each tin, so that it's evenly coating the tin. And then I take the measuring cup and tamp it down. With the measuring cup, I'll spray maybe one little shot of nonstick spray I'll wrap a piece of plastic wrap around the cup, around the measuring cup, and then I'll spray the plastic wrap with some nonstick spray, rub it in with my fingers, and then I'll tamp down all 24 of the ones that I spread out with my finger. So someone tried to micromanage me and say, why did you wrap plastic wrap around the cup? Why are you using the nonstick spray? Why are you spreading the crust mixture around with your finger before you tamp it down? And I'm like, do we want to get into this fight right now? I'm like, number one, take a look at all of these ones that I've finished. Are they perfect? Yes? All right. So they're perfect. They're done right. They're better than anybody else has done today. All right, let's just start there, number one. Number two, if you take a scoop of this stuff and you just plop it on the pan, and then you take a bare measuring cup without any plastic wrap around it or nonstick spray rubbed into the plastic, and you try to tamp it down, what happens? Number one, all the crust mixture sticks to the bottom of the cup. Number two, the crust isn't even. and you have to tamp it down a whole bunch of times. You have to go all the way around a bunch of times. You have to scrape the stuck crust off the bottom of the cup, and then you got to tamp it down again, and you got to tamp it down again, and it's not even. It's got holes in it. It's not a perfectly even layer of crust. So you're sitting here micromanaging me, telling me I've wasted all this time wrapping plastic wrap around the cup, giving it a shot of, and I don't want to use a lot of nonstick spray, but there's so much butter mixed in with the crust mixture that it really doesn't matter. A little pss, pss, just to keep stuff from sticking to the bottom of the measuring cup I'm using to tamp stuff down. It's not a big deal. I even rub it in with my finger so that it's not a big glob of nonstick spray. It's just enough to keep it from sticking, to keep the stuff from sticking to the bottom of the cup. I take a few seconds, I take 1 or 2 extra seconds to spread the stuff around with my fingers so that it evenly coats the bottom of each pan, little tin, or whatever you want to call it. So that when I take the thing and tamp it down, it's already got an even layer. I've got to tamp it down like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 around the edge of the pie pan, or whatever you want to call the thing that it's being put in. So I'm just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just go around in a circle so that I'm getting all the edges tamped down, and the middle just gets tamped down because the measuring cup's so big that I go 8 times around each. It's a process. It's a robotic process. And what do we get? We get a perfectly flat pie crust on every single tin that's the same width, with no holes in it, no uneven surfaces, and it all looks good, and nothing sticks to the bottom of my measuring cup, and I can get through about 24 of those before I have to put another hit of the nonstick spray on the bottom of the measuring cup. So that takes, 2-3 seconds to do that. But you want to sit here and micromanage me, I can make it take twice as long, and it's going to be all lumpy and uneven, and I'm going to be peeling the crust that sticks on the bottom of the measuring cup off over and over again. Like, do you want to fucking argue about this? I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, I'm getting paid per hour, whether you want me to get it done in a half hour or an hour. I don't give a fuck. Do you want quality? I know that the customer's not going to see the crust, but when I'm handing it off to the next person, they can look at it and go, damn, these are some pretty well put together crusts. Like, they're perfect. I know they're done right. And it gets on my nerves when people want to micromanage you because you didn't do it super fast. But sometimes even doing it super fast means you're going to do it twice, or the quality is going to be shit. And, there are times where, you might get backed up. There's so many customers ready to scream because they're waiting for these are luxury cookies that, you don't just take them out of a window and hand them to a customer in a box. There's stuff that has to be done to them, and it takes time. It's supposed to take 2 minutes per customer. Sometimes it takes as many as 5 or 6. It depends on how complicated the order is. But there's manual labor that goes into it. And it's because it's gourmet shit. It's supposed to be done fresh and on the spot. And that's fine. It's great. It's a nice product. It's good quality stuff. I like the products. There's some, I like some better than others, but it's good stuff. But the point I'm making is do it right. Do it right. Don't be so fucking obsessed with doing it fast that you don't do it good, or that you do such a bad job that you have to do the job again. Focus on doing a good job first, and then work on getting faster and faster and faster. How can I improve doing a good job? So, programming wise, perfect example of that's the other day. I had to write some complicated JavaScript for something, and I'm like, boy, this is going to take all day. I wonder if Grok can do this for me. And so I took what I had already written, put it in Grok, and I said, here's the problem I'm having with this. What do you think? Grok's like, gives me this 10-page explanation as why I'm having the problem I'm having. And I'm like, that's great. I skimmed through it. I believe him. I knew exactly what he was saying. And then he goes, here, try this. Hands me a bunch of JavaScript, like 50 or 60 lines of JavaScript code. I copy and paste it into my template. And there was another whole process with what's the best way to integrate this JavaScript into the site. Grok gave me a bunch of options, and I'm like, yeah, I know about all these different plugins. Which one do you think's the best? It told me two, and I'm like, well, I know about both of these, and I said something about the second one, and I'm like, I would like to install it, but it has a free version and a paid version. Does the paid version give me any limitations that will make me not be able to do what I'm doing here? And it said, no, you should be fine. Use the free version. It'll work just fine. And I said, okay, I believe you, Grok. And then I went and installed the free version. Then I put the 50 or 60 lines of code that Grok wrote, pasted it in to the appropriate place, wired it all together. So I still had to know how all this stuff works and how to wire it all together and to tie it together and to be, it's not like it did the work for me. It wrote the JavaScript for me. And it wrote a little bit of HTML for me. But when I went and tested it, it worked. I'm like, holy shit, this is great. But then I found a bug. And I'm like, I could sit here and debug this thing myself, but let me try something. I went back and I said, hey, Grok, sorry to bother you again. I know you're a busy guy. You're a busy fake AI guy. But here, I'm having this bug. When I click the second video and the third video, all videos are playing on top of each other at the same time. How do I make it so that all videos on the stage stop playing when I want to click and play a new video? And Grok goes, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Here, try this. Hands me back some JavaScript code. Now it's like 70 lines. I go, oh, okay. Copy, paste, put it back in, hit refresh. It worked. But then I notice, okay, I'm testing it, and I click the first video, it plays. I click the second video, the first one stops, and the second one plays. And then I go back and click the first video again, and the first video disappears from the stage. The web page, it disappears, and it's no longer found. And I'm like, okay, Grok, hate to bother you again. I know it's been 5 minutes since we last talked. You might remember that I asked you to write all this JavaScript code for me. Well, here's another bug, and I just put it in plain English. When I click the second video and play the video, the first one stops as it's supposed to. But when I go back and click the first video to play it again, it disappears from the stage, and Grok goes, oh, aha, I know exactly what's going on. And it gives me this big-winded explanation, and then at the end of the explanation, it goes, here, try this modification I made to that JavaScript code and see how it works. And now it's up to like 80 or 90 lines of code, and I'm glanced through it, I'm like, all right, I understand what he did, but each time he adds a new block of code, it's like 30 lines of code. And I grab it, I put it back in, hit save, refresh the page, now it's working perfectly, and I can't find any bugs. And there are some visual glitches. I'm going to call them glitches because they're not bugs. The thing works. There's just some HTML and CSS that's got to be refactored, but I already knew that would be the case. I just wanted to test to make sure this shit was going to work before I wasted my time making the HTML and CSS perfect. And now that I see that it works, I'm like, well, shit, I can take it from here. And I'll do a better job taking it over than Grok's not going to be able to write the HTML and CSS as good as I do. Probably. I'm almost guaranteed. I have a certain way to do this from here. And I'll probably scan through and optimize the code that I was given from the Grok. And I'll probably, once I look at it deeper, I'll be like, oh, I can take out that line. I can combine this. I can get it down from like 80, 90 lines of code to like 60, 70. Or, I'll figure something out. I'll make it more efficient and better. But it works. That's the important thing. And it literally took me an hour to an hour and a half to get this all wired up and working using AI to do it for me than it would have if I had just been stubborn and tried to do it all by myself. Even with doing Google research, and I would have had to research YouTube's API manual I even found the page and bookmarked it where all the commands that the YouTube API will accept and all the things that you can send it with a JavaScript call and wait for wait for the return to come back, and tell the video to do this and have it do that and include this parameter and that, and just all the different things. And I could have built something myself, but then I would have had to refresh the thing and retool it 20 or 30 times to work out all the bugs. Grok just made it 2 bugs, and I just went in plain English, told Grok in plain English what was wrong with it, and the freaking bot fixed it twice and gave it back to me, and it works. And it works everywhere. I've tried it in lots of browsers, and I'm like, shit. So there's a good example of good, fast, and cheap. I don't care. I still want it to be good. And I was willing to spend all day on it if that's what it would take to get it to work good, to my standard, to the way I wanted it to be for my client. But I found a way to make it good and faster that I can use for other things down the road. I know that I can apply what I did there. And I'm already using the AI tool to help me with my own video channel here on YouTube. I came up with an efficient process, a 3-step process to make sure every video has a good title, description, and keywords and tags. And for every video to do that myself, completely on my own, would probably take anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour per video. With AI, I can do it in 5 minutes or less. And if I'm uploading 6 to 8 videos at a time, you're looking at a savings of possibly 2-3 hours to do the same thing. And using the AI tool in combination with my own style and talent, I get a better result than I would have got completely on my own. It's the same thing when I use an AI bot to write a cover letter for a job. The AI bot does a better job than I would on my own. I paste the job description into the AI bot, then you paste your resume into the AI bot, and the AI bot combines the two and writes a cover letter that's appropriate for the job. And then I take that, I put it in Grammarly to clean up any bad grammar, and then I read it from top to bottom, because there's always going to be some sentences to delete, and there's always going to be something that's not true, or there's going to be something where the AI got confused and said something that makes no sense, or it talks about something I don't want to say, or whatever the case may be, or it just comes up with a goofy sentence that doesn't make any sense at all. So you still have to read the thing, and you still have to edit what it gives you. But it takes the process of applying for a job that needs a cover letter. I would have to spend 20 minutes writing a cover letter. The process I use now takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Copy and paste the job description, copy, paste the resume, get back a cover letter from AI, paste it into a new Grammarly document, look at whatever Grammarly wants you to correct because of bad grammar, punctuation, or whatever, and also read the thing. It's a short cover letter. Read it from top to bottom. Make sure you're not lying about anything. Make sure nothing sounds dumb. Make sure that nothing sounds like there's things in there that just won't be correct. And that's just the limitation of AI. And that's fine. But at the end of the day, it took me 5 minutes to make the cover letter, attach it, and be done with it. And the fact that it's going to be an AI bot reading the fucking cover letter anyway. So why the fuck do I care? A human being's never going to read it. But at some job applications, you're required to submit one, or they won't even give you the time of day. So fine. Let my AI bot talk to your AI bot and see if they can agree on the terms and talk to a human being after it makes its decision about whether to bring me in for an interview or not. It's like, it's not worth my time to put it's not worth 20 minutes of my time for that bullshit. Let the bots talk to each other. You negotiate it. Call me when it's worth my time. And so that's where we're at now with this shit. But once again, if we're talking about good, fast, and cheap, I'm always going to do a good job. But how I get to the end of the job and call it good, the first time I do something, it might take a while. The second time, it might take less time because I know what I'm doing now. The third time, I'm going to start trying to figure out how to cut time out of the process. And by the time I do it 6 or 7 times, I've got it down to where, I'm doing it in less than half the time it used to take. And sometimes I'm doing it in a quarter of the time it used to take. Because now I know the exact process. I have a checklist to follow, and I've learned how to trim the fat off of the process, but still be left with a good job. If I was obsessed with doing it fast out of the gate, I would just be piling dog shit on top of dog shit on top of more dog shit, and at the end of the day, I'd have a big giant pile of dog shit that doesn't make any sense, and it's all broken and fucked up and doesn't work. I take and I make something good, and then I go, how can I optimize this so that it's better, and then it gets better again, and then it gets better again, and then it gets better again, and it takes less time. So there's a big difference there. Like in a construction project, if I was a landlord and I had to fix somebody's hot water, and I had to be the one to install the new hot water tank or whatever, it might take me a bit, because I might have to watch a YouTube video, how to hook up a hot water tank, and how to do that properly, and how this and that, and it might take me a whole day to do something it should take me an hour. Then the next time I have to do it, it might take me a few hours. And then if I have to do it 4 or 5 times, it's going to get to the point where I can be in and out in an hour. Fixed, done, we're good. Any mistakes that I made the first time, I won't make again. Anything that took me a long time because I had to do some research, I won't have to do that again. But at the end of the day, I'm going to fix it right. I'm not going to do some half-ass bullshit job that leaves the tenant without any water at all, and a big puddle of water all over the floor. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm getting at. Do the job right the first time, and you will save yourself a lot of money, headache, and time in the long run if you just do it right the first fucking time. But people these days are obsessed with fast and cheap. And you end up with garbage at the end of the day. Complete fucking garbage. If that's your obsession, that's what you're going to get as a result. Period. And that's all I got to say about that. Peace out.